Hey, and welcome back to the Wealth and Freedom Nexus podcast. I'm John Rickgarn, your host as always. And I want to thank you again for taking the time out of your schedule to join in. As always, I would certainly appreciate a like, rate, and subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or whatever your preferred platform is. Today is the first episode for the month of October in 2022, episode 51. Now, before I jump into today's interview, I want to ask you, what does diversification mean to you? Now, typically for some people and many people I talk to, friends and family, especially if they watch Jim Cramer's weekly segment, Am I Diversified? This means that they own maybe a tech stock like Apple, maybe a consumer staple stock like Procter and Gamble, for instance, an oil stock, maybe Exxon or Chevron, perhaps a retail stock like Amazon, and say a sin stock, so to speak, like Altria, which manufactures cigarettes. Unfortunately, this really isn't diversification, at least in my opinion, and many people that I communicate with and talk to and hang around with. This is diversification, but it is just in one asset class. In this case, paper assets like stocks, bonds, and notes are other examples of diversification, but it's in paper stocks. Now, in my opinion, true diversification crosses many different asset classes. And also, I would say, really stretches across geographic regions. Now, for instance, I own stocks that are publicly owned, publicly traded, as well as privately held stocks as well. I also hold promissory notes, precious metals. Little side note as well. Be sure, if you haven't hit subscribe, be sure to tune in 2 weeks for episode number 53. I'll have a returning guest to discuss the state of gold and silver. And probably finally, one of my favorite asset classes that I have touched base on numerous times in this podcast is real estate. Now, for real estate, now on my residential side of my portfolio, this spans all the way from a short-term rental condo in Arizona to a fourplex in my hometown here, which actually was my first real estate investment. Most people start with a single-family home, work their way up to bigger units. I just did everything in reverse, but for what each his own, and what works best for me may or may not work best for you. Beyond that, I also own property in three other U.S. states. We'll probably hit one, I'm hoping at least two more states in 2023 with placements in Florida and Ohio. For more info on those markets and why we'll be investing in those, check out episode 2 with Wagner and Alasko, Build to Rent Direct, and episode 4 with Flip and Danny Lynn of Freedom Real Estate. And, kind of moving on along of diversification, geographic, different asset classes. This is actually an asset class that I just invested in. Was one of my latest investments after I, did my research, due diligence, talked to other investors as well. I finally pulled the trigger, if you will, here in February of 2022, and looking forward to another diverse asset class. In this case, this is down in South America, and we're actually going to be talking about agriculture. And now, just for anyone listening to this, before you I don't know, pull out your bank accounts or self-directed retirement accounts or anything like that, just know that this is not a quick fix and flip or make a quick buck investment. This is a buy and hold investment, very much so. You invest in it, you probably will not see cash flow for a minimum of 3 years. This is really a long-term hold. A generational investment, if you will, can be passed on, to your kids and grandkids, or have your parents inherited, or whatever the case may be. So this is a very long-term investment, but it is very diverse in the case that is outside the United States. It is an asset class completely uncorrelated to what's going on in the stock market, what the Fed's doing or not doing with interest rates, and really, I think, adds to a more balanced and well-diversified portfolio. With that, I hope that you enjoyed today's show after a word from one of our sponsors. Buying rental homes are one thing, but buying older homes could bring more headaches for a new real estate investor. Outdated wiring, cracking foundations, and hazardous materials like asbestos are not things a beginning investor should have to deal with nor worry about. Why not start with a brand new construction home in one of the fastest growing areas in the US, Central Florida? Wagner Nolasco and his team, Build to Rent, have over 3,000 homes in various stages of development and work only with real estate investors. Their new homes feature tenant resilient amenities like vinyl floor plank, lower insurance premiums than older homes, and possibly even very low property taxes for the first year or two. To find out more and learn how this is all possible, go to buildtorentdirect.com or text 407-927-5074. That's build the number 2 rentdirect.com.
Are you tired of trying to keep ahead in the rat race, only to have so much of your hard-earned money going to the tax collector? Equity doesn't pay the bills. Retirement savings don't pay you now, and there are only 24 hours in a day to work. The only solution is passive income that pays you 24/7 now, not 40 years from now. From vetted investment opportunities to tax saving strategies, let John guide you through all the confusion and take control of your financial life in pursuit of financial freedom. So sit back, relax, and welcome to the Wealth and Freedom Nexus.
David, thanks for coming on to the show.
Good morning, John. Nice to finally catch up with you.
Yeah, I agree. I know we've spoken mostly by email, and we've tried to get this on the docket for the last 6 or 7 months. And with my schedule and your schedule, it finally came to fruition. So now you're joining us from Panama currently. Is that correct? Or
That's correct. I live in Panama full time.
okay.
I travel to Paraguay, probably every couple of months.
Okay.
Yeah. So I spend a lot of time there.
Sounds good. Now, obviously, I gave a little bit of an intro on the show as far as Paraguay Ag and how I've invested recently with the company. But do you mind just kind of starting off for anyone that isn't familiar with Paraguay Ag and yourself, just kind of a little brief background on yourself and how you got started with the company?
Okay. Well, I worked previously with the Panasonic company.
Okay.
And I was really involved in as a younger man in business and things. I worked around the world in Europe and Asia and things like that. And then I decided to kind of go out on my own and get out of the corporate world, so to speak. And I ended up coming to South America 25 years ago.
Okay.
And initially I was in Nicaragua, and then a couple of years after that, I ended up bringing in the first RE/MAX real estate franchises into Nicaragua.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So I began in really residential real estate, if you will.
Okay.
I lived in the colonial city of Granada, and my buddies were builders from California. So we started renovating colonial homes.
Okay.
And selling them to expats and things like that.
Okay.
And I also got involved with a little bit of development down on the beach side of Nicaragua, doing some condos and some lots and things like that. And that worked out quite well. So I ended up in a career I never really thought too much about. But just happened to be one of the few, expats in the country at the time.
Okay.
And then in 2009, I moved from Nicaragua to Panama.
Okay.
And when I got to Panama, this was a pretty booming place. I mean, the real estate market was red hot. Mm-hmm. And so I started buying condominiums on plan.
Okay.
And then basically flipping the contracts.
Nice.
That was quite interesting for a while. And I got into agriculture by way of a very good friend of mine who was a very, very astute international investor.
Okay.
And he kept telling me David, you need to invest in agriculture. You need to invest in this. And so, yeah, I sort of threw it around for a while and made some investigations and did some due diligence. And initially, I got involved for my own portfolio,
Okay.
investing in agriculture here in Panama and also in Colombia. And about 7 years ago, I was introduced to Karsten Fowl, who is the president of Agriterra KG in Germany,
Okay.
and also has his projects in Paraguay. I was introduced to him by a mutual German friend here in Panama City.
Interesting.
And yeah, it was quite interesting to meet him. And I never really thought much about Paraguay, honestly. I mean, as most people don't. So he told me what he was doing there, and we had a nice conversation about that, and what his plans were in the future, the direction he wanted to go on. And he asked me if I thought this might be interesting to North Americans.
Okay.
Because most of his investors were from Europe,
Okay.
mainly Germans, Swiss, Austrian, these kinds of things. And so he invited me down there to take a look at it. This was in 2017.
Okay.
And so I did some due diligence while I was there. I looked at property titles and things like that. And there were a couple things that I thought was very unique with regards to what Carson's doing and my exposure to other agricultural projects. And they were namely the fact that there's insurance provided for the investor.
Okay.
I thought that was really quite interesting. Both in force majeure for natural disasters in Paraguay, and in Germany, they have a different insurance against fraud or embezzlement, any kind of financial issues. They're also insured against that.
Okay.
So I felt that was pretty strong. I'd never seen that in any other project that I was aware of. And then I think the closer was the fact that the contracts are subject to German litigation.
Okay.
This is very strong. This is very strong because I can tell you that you really don't want to be involved in litigation in Latin America.
Yep.
It's not the best place to be. So I thought because of those particular reasons, and also what I saw there at the time, which was only orange trees at that time.
Okay.
He didn't have any greenhouses or anything like that. So he had an orange plantation with about 65,000 trees.
Okay.
Which now have about 90,000 on them.
Oh.
Okay, that was the first plantation. And then, since then, it's gotten much bigger. There's a second and a third plantation. So now there is approximately 180,000 orange trees.
Wow.
And right now, 40 greenhouses.
Okay.
Yeah, so I thought that this was quite interesting. And I was very impressed with what I saw and what I learned. However, I had some doubt about how to market Paraguay.
Sure.
It's a little bit different when you're in Panama. Most Americans are familiar with Panama.
Sure.
So I did some research, and I found that there was an advantage to market Paraguay in Latin America to North Americans, because unlike some of the other countries like Colombia and Argentina, where they have all these different issues, Paraguay is a very sleepy little farming country.
Okay.
So it's really off the radar.
Okay.
You really don't hear. There's no civil wars. There's not an issue with cartels or financial meltdowns, like Argentina has on every decade.
If not more often.
So I found a way to sort of spin that to make it seem more attractive and more secure to potential investors, because that is one of the number one concerns when you talk to especially North Americans about investing in Latin America, because there's a sense of instability,
Yeah.
and, these kinds of issues. So I thought that it was quite unique in the case of Paraguay. And if you study the country, you'll find that it is basically it's just farming and cattle country.
All right.
Essentially, as far as production, annually, Paraguay feeds 80 million people.
Wow.
Out of a country of 7 million.
Okay.
They're one of the largest exporters of electricity in the world due to the big dam and the hydroelectric right on the border of Argentina and Paraguay.
Okay.
So they're really a very, very industrious country. They're one of the largest exporters of beef in the world, soybeans, things like that. So I found that it was actually a very beneficial story to talk about, to tell people about that. And so then I decided to I decided to work with Karsten. And I put together a marketing company, Paraguay Ag Invest.
Okay.
We only work with Karsten. We don't work with other projects. So we're completely devoted to that project. And since 2018, we've done a lot of business with North Americans, Canadians. We have a wide variety of investors. We have people from Bahrain, Hong Kong, Singapore,
wow,
Australia. Yeah, you'd really be surprised. And so it's been very, very I think attractive to people, because investing in agriculture is a pretty steady business.
Okay.
It's a pretty safe hedge against inflation.
Okay.
It's not inflation proof, but it moves with inflation.
Okay.
It's such a commodity in high demand. Water and food and things like that. They're going to increase in value as demand goes up or as inflation goes up. It's just passed right on to the consumer, and also it's a hard asset. So you're investing in a hard asset. You have a title to that land. And it's also we like to say a generational investment. So if you buy an orange lot right now, the orange lot will produce for roughly 23 years.
Okay.
You see, as you own it. So you yourself will get benefits from it, and then someday your son, if he decides to continue on investing in the reinvest in the orange lot, he can also benefit.
Okay.
From doing this, doing the same thing. The same holds true with the greenhouses.
Okay.
Greenhouses are it's a much larger investment. However, it's also 20 to 30 years or even more, depending on if you keep the maintenance up and it's operated correctly and things like that. So a lot of people are attracted to it because of the it's just a steady market.
Sure.
There's no real residential bubbles where all of a sudden it's worth more. Strawberries don't go up 300% in a year.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way. So that's why most people are interested in it. And I think as far as Americans and Canadians are concerned, there's also an interest in diversification, in moving some of your investments out of your normal portfolio.
Sure.
Putting them in offshore sort of secure investments. I think this is one of the biggest attractions to that.
Okay. Yeah, I think I don't know. I think a lot of people think of diversification as, well, I have large cap stocks, small cap, mid cap, bond portfolio. It's like, well, yeah, but you're diversified against just paper assets, where if you have geographic diversity and asset diversity, agriculture versus paper assets, I think that just makes anyone's portfolio pretty strong. Hypothetically, at the time of this recording now, if say let's just say one of my listeners here, it's interested in investing in this, and let's just say, I don't know, October of 2022, they decide to invest. I think a half acre parcel is still your minimum for like the citrus plantations. What would that all look like? Like, how much would that cost? How soon would they see returns? I know you said it would be producing for probably 23 years, but from the time of investment to the first payout, how long of a time frame is that? Are you tired of the roller coaster of the stock market? The S&P 500 just had its worst start to a year in over 50 years. The Nasdaq is down 25%. The Dow is in correction territory, and past stock darlings like Netflix are down over 60% year to date. Why not invest in assets that provide constant cash flow and growth unrelated to the stock market? From private businesses to cryptocurrency, the options are nearly endless. I myself have invested in promissory notes, self-storage syndications, a Bitcoin mining fund, and even a teak parcel down in Nicaragua in my retirement accounts. IRAs, solo 401ks, even HSAs don't have to be constrained by traditional stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. And that is why I trust Amanda Holbrook and the specialized trust team with my retirement accounts. Reach out to Amanda today, 505-514-0587, or go to specializedtrustcompany.com for a free consultation today.
Well, the investment in the half acre lot is $18,500.
Okay.
Okay. Now that includes the land and the trees. Okay. That also includes the irrigation system and 3 years of crop care.
Okay.
Okay, so that includes all the crop care that's normally done, the salaries, everything. That's all included in that portion of it.
Okay.
And so if you invested right now, you would receive your first payout. Well, the year of production would end in 2025. So the first quarter of 2026, you receive your payout for 2025.
Okay.
Gotcha. Yeah. And that's about 12% on the average.
Okay.
And of course, with the citrus, as the tree grows, as indicated in the ROI sheet in our brochure, you'll see that as the tree grows and matures, the production increases.
Okay.
The amount of kilos that's produced from the tree increases as it grows. And then there's a curve to that. Okay. And you'll see that starting in about year 17, 18, then it starts dropping off.
Okay.
And then by the time you get to year 24 to 25, then we're already starting to cut some trees down.
Okay.
Then we sell those. Firewood is quite expensive in Paraguay because they're very strictly controlling trees there.
Oh, okay.
So we cut everything down, sell it for firewood, and then at that point, the investor has the option to either replant, okay, or they can say, "Well, I'd like to sell my lot."
Okay.
That nature. So you have an option here. You don't have to replant. Okay. And then of course, it's hard to forecast exactly what the replanting might cost, but I would say based upon today's prices, 25 years, it may cost you another $6,000 or $7,000 to replant.
Okay.
Okay. And then you just continue forward like another cycle,
Okay.
And that's why we call this generational investments.
Sure.
Because it can continue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Now, obviously, we've been living through some interesting times, shall we say, in the last 2.5 years with COVID, lockdowns, supply chain chaos. I think there's still some areas of China that are in strict lockdown. Now, Paraguay, obviously, as a landlocked nation, doesn't have access to the oceans. How has the COVID lockdowns, the supply chain, everything, how has that affected the production, I should say, in the country?
Well, I don't think it's affected the exportation.
Okay.
Things that are produced in Paraguay, because they also have most of their exports is first done by rivers.
Okay.
Yeah, they do it by river. They take it to these river ports, and then it goes into the ocean, and they're put on barges and different things like that. I don't think it's affected too much the exports,
Okay.
but there has been, of course, some issues with bringing products in.
Okay.
You see, because the supply lines, supply chains are limited. It's very hard to get space on a ship sometimes.
Okay.
Now, it's getting better. In 2020, it was a real problem. There's no question
Sure.
about that. And part of 2021, we had issues in getting fertilizers and things like
Mm,
that we needed. We also had some issues in getting our greenhouses delivered from Spain,
okay.
delays on things like that. We're now in the catch-up mode of bringing these strawberry greenhouses in, and we've got all of the vegetables in now. Now we're starting to bring in the strawberries,
Okay.
and frankly, we're about a year late.
Okay.
Okay, and so we've informed all of our clients about this. That hey, this is the situation. Not unlike cars or things
Yeah.
like that as well. You're in a situation where you're just trying to find the best way to make it work. And so that seems to be sorting out now. There was a real shortage of other parts of the greenhouses. For example, the company in Spain builds the infrastructure, but some things like the hydroponic technology or the motors or the computer systems that make this all work,
Okay.
sometimes they were available, sometimes they weren't. So and we cannot ship these units incomplete.
Okay.
So we have to wait until everything is put together and put in the container and then shipped to us. So that did cost us some major delays in 2020.
Okay.
Yeah, but we're working that out now, and we put together a plan to increase the construction of the greenhouses. We're going to basically double or triple team the amount of people are going to be on that,
Okay.
and hopefully we'll get all that sorted out by, well, probably not until mid 24.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, mid 24. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, David, you kind of alluded to this a little bit, and as of now, I've only invested in the citrus parcels. But you had kind of mentioned you also produce strawberries. How do those compare to the citrus investments, and are there any other agriculture investments that you deal with in as well?
Well, the strawberries is sort of an extension of we originally started with vegetable greenhouses.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah, that was our original investment. We have we are right now finishing up all 40 of those, so we've got about 36 of them completed.
Okay.
They'll be completed by the end of this year. So we have 40 vegetable greenhouses. We also have 60 strawberry greenhouses, and they are almost all sold out.
Okay.
I think we have a couple of those, or maybe two or three of those remaining. However, it's important to note that because of the delay of the units, we sold the units quite quickly. I was quite surprised by this. And this is also interesting, John, because back in, let's say, April of 2020, when things started becoming locked down,
Mm-hmm.
we were all internally thinking, well, I guess things are going to be quite slow for a while, and so maybe we just tone everything down a little bit and keep going forward. It was quite the opposite.
Okay.
And by April or May, we were beginning to sell more greenhouses per month than we ever dreamed about.
Oh, wow.
It was unbelievable. Unbelievable. I mean, by the end of 2020, we had sold out all of the vegetable greenhouses.
Jeez.
And then we started selling, I think in early 2021, the strawberry greenhouses, and they're almost all gone.
Okay.
However, because of the delays, this supply chain delay, now we find ourselves in a situation where we've got to build these as fast as we can, because of course we want to try to keep within the ROI forecast of when it's in production.
Sure.
And when it's producing. We already know that we're about a year behind on that, and that there's nothing that we can do about that.
Okay.
Just simply can't do that. So we had some discussions. I was in Paraguay 3 weeks ago, and we had some discussions about the remaining units. And frankly, um, we cannot really offer them the remaining ones yet because we need to see where we are with the construction on the ones that are coming in.
Okay.
Because it's one thing for an investor to make an investment and think that in 2 years they're going to receive some payout, but because of the backlog of construction,
Sure.
that's simply not true.
Okay.
So we don't want to give anybody any incorrect information or anything like that. We prefer to be just straightforward and say, hey, if you really want this greenhouse, yeah, you can have it, but please understand that you won't get a payout for probably 3 years.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's what it's all about. So,
Okay.
so yes, we do have several of those, but at this time we're not really offering them at this moment because we need to have at least about 1.5 years of construction.
Okay.
And then see where we are, and then maybe we can offer it, to someone if there's a few left.
Okay.
Currently, we don't have any other projects scheduled.
Okay.
There are some other options in Paraguay, I think, but I just haven't had the time to really, investigate very much.
Gotcha.
And at this moment, quite frankly, I've gone away from sort of the marketing guy to being sort of hands-on with the construction and making sure that my clients are being taken care of.
Okay.
And most importantly, that they're informed on what's going on. So we put together a program where every month the clients will receive a form stating what the materials have been used that have been installed on their greenhouse, the percentage of construction completed,
okay,
and photos, so that they know on a monthly basis exactly what is the status of the construction of their greenhouse, and ultimately the implementation, the planting. That's really our goal right now.
Okay.
That's what we have to do.
Okay.
It's selling it is one thing, but delivering it,
sure,
that is the most important, and that's what I'm focused on entirely, almost.
Okay.
Yeah, we sell orange lots, on a monthly basis. We always sell those. There's a lot of people who they want to get in this kind of investment, but they prefer to take a rather, lower end approach, just to understand it, how it all works, the paperwork and communication and the company. So we have a lot of people, who will buy, 1 or 2 lots, and then, a year later or 2 years later, they'll buy a greenhouse or something.
Okay.
So that's kind of how it works. So we find that the orange lot is a very good introduction for most people that are not familiar with this kind of offshore investments, because the majority of American investors invest in America.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. I think there's a very small percentage, maybe 3 or 4%, who invest overseas.
Yeah. Well, and I even see that on the, real estate turnkey side, where so many people I know, they're even leery of, they live in Minnesota, but investing even just still in the US, but buying a turnkey property in, Memphis, Little Rock, Birmingham, take your pick. They're like, well, I live in X state, I should invest right there. So taking the leap to another hemisphere or another geography probably is a big stretch for them. So
it's a big stretch. So I think that the orange investment is a very good entry level. It's not an immense amount of money. You can get in there for as low as 18.5 or 35. And then also, we do our tours. Now that the COVID is over, more or less, we're starting to do more tours. We've done a couple already this year. We may do another one in October.
Okay.
But yeah, we find that there's also a lot of people who want to come down, they're very curious. They want to take a look at the project and things like that. So we try to accommodate them, whenever we can.
Okay. Sounds good. In relation to the, this citrus parcels or strawberries, or greenhouses, depending on the, level that someone wants to invest in. Is there anything that I should have asked or you think investors should be aware of that I didn't think to bring up?
Well, I think uh, I'd like to say that after almost, let's see, I've been investing and I've been working in agriculture now for almost 11 years.
Okay.
Um, I would like to say that in any type of agricultural investment, when you look at a brochure or you look at an ROI forecast, return on investment forecast,
Mm-hmm.
you must remember that uh, this is Mother Nature
Yep.
dealing with. Okay, so there can be unforeseen delays, which no one can control.
Sure.
So, and I say this also in a little bit of my own. How can I say self-criticism that I didn't really understand it as well as I should, years ago. But I
Okay.
have learned a lot about it, and now, when I speak with a client and we talk about the details of whatever investment is, whether it's greenhouses or oranges, I always want to make sure that they understand the numbers that they see here on this ROI sheet are a conservative, moderate forecast.
Okay.
However, it can be shipping, it can be shortages, it can be weather that can cause delays,
Mm-hmm.
anytime. So you just have to be, I think, when with agricultural investments, you got to be patient.
Okay.
That's the most important part because, for example, in a greenhouse, there could be a delay of getting, the fertilizer in, which we had already this year. The fertilizer slabs, which go inside the vegetable greenhouses, they come from either Malaysia or India.
Okay.
And they were 6 months late.
Oh, geez.
So we couldn't plant some of these greenhouses because we didn't have the fertilizer.
Gotcha.
So these kinds of things that you have to think about, and also storms or rain or sunshine or whatever it can be. It can be something that can affect an agricultural investment temporarily, but in the long term, it all evens out. Once it gets established and things like that, then that's important to remember. There's a risk in every investment,
Right.
but unless something is just an absolute catastrophe, it will come back. If there's an issue with some trees, for example, say some trees have some sort of a pest.
Okay.
It doesn't kill the tree, but it needs to have treatment. Okay, that means you might miss a harvest.
Okay.
At particular time. These kinds of things, you see. In a greenhouse, whether it's a vegetable greenhouse or a hydroponic greenhouse, it's not, it's not a Lego set. You can take it out and put it together and boom, there you have these beautiful strawberries and tomatoes.
Sure.
It's a process of calibration. They're always the engineers that do the fertilization calibration. This is all they're starting from scratch because you're in a new area and you have different sun levels and heat and all these different things. So it takes them a year to kind of get this up and running, and then they know how to calibrate it, what works. There's a little bit of experimentation. So ultimately, I just think that people should understand that, it's not just a cut and dry type of investment.
Sure.
You're working the land, you're working Mother Nature, you're working a lot of different aspects of it, and it takes a little while to get it up and running. But once it's up and running, and they kind of go through the whole synchronization of everything, then it goes very well.
Okay, makes sense.
For example, our vegetable our vegetable greenhouses. There was some issues with the very first units as far as the calibration of fertigation, but the experts who normally would come in and help us, they couldn't leave Spain.
Oh.
In 2020.
Yep, could have caused some issues.
That caused a few issues, but now now our people on the ground know what to do.
Okay.
And so we don't need to consult them as much as we did in the beginning. But in
Okay.
the beginning, it's a bit of a learning process. Okay?
Sure.
That's very
Yeah.
important.
Yeah, I'm guessing there's only so much you can do with the Zoom meeting between Spain and Paraguay to get that going. So,
That's correct. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. Well, as we close off here, David, if like I said, I've invested in the company earlier here in 2022. If any of my listeners were, maybe interested in investing, maybe just learning some more, getting some more information, what's the best way to reach out to you and learn more?
The best way is by email.
Okay.
And my email is David at Paraguay Ag, which is AG, invest.com.
Okay.
Or they can call me on my USA number, which is 239-204-4364.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. And for those of you listening or working out, walking the dog, driving, whatever the case may be, all these links will be in clickable format in the show notes, so you don't have to hit rewind, and hope you spell everything correctly. So sounds good. Well, thanks again for coming on, David, and educating myself as well as my listeners for another avenue that they could look at investing.
Well, thank you very much for having me, and we also thank you very much for your confidence in our company. And you never know, maybe we'll meet someday in Paraguay.
Yeah, it sounds like a blast. So thanks,
right.
David.
Great. Take care.
Thank you for listening. Be sure to share, rate, review, and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. For more updates, check out www.wealthandfreedomnexus.com. Remember, nothing on this show should be considered tax, legal, investment, or professional advice. This show is produced solely for educational and informational purposes. Please consult an appropriate and licensed tax, legal, real estate, or business professional for specific advice for your situation. For distribution or publication rights or media interviews, please contact the host.